In the city of Cyprus in 300 BC, there lived a very wealthy trader called Zeno. While on a voyage from Phoenicia to Piraeus, his boat sank along with all of his cargo. Because of that single event, an event that was entirely out of Zeno's or anyone's control, this very wealthy man suddenly became poor in an instant. Imagine you were Zeno. How would you react to your entire life's work getting flushed down the drain by the sheer force of nature? What is the proper reaction? Would you be angry? Sad? Would you feel life has cheated you? For most of us, these would all be normal reactions. But not for Zeno, the father of Stoicism. One small change lasts an eternity, and one small reframing of your mindset can cascade into larger and more impactful changes later down the line. The core of Stoicism is the very definition of acceptance and indifference. After reading the works of Socrates and other great philosophers, Zeno created and taught Stoicism. According to Zeno, although we don't have much control over what happens to us, we do have control of how it affects us, and we must use this control to great effect. Rather than crying over spilled milk, or in this case, drowned goods, Zeno focused on maintaining his composure over the situation, remaining calm and neutral despite his predicament. Modern misconceptions about Stoicism. Today, people inadvertently view Stoics as people who cannot be broken, people who don't often linger in emotional extremes, avoiding fits of rage or bouts of anxiety. But the original idea behind Stoicism was much more than that. Rather than just a way to describe people who are unemotional, Stoicism was a way to view, describe, and understand the world. It was a way of life, and that way of life has lasted for centuries. Stoic philosophy can be applied to situations today the same way it was applied thousands of years ago, and its benefits are just as impactful. Stoicism allows us to process these negative emotions from negative experiences and turn them into the thoughts that give us a unique perspective of the world. Perspective is everything, and everyone in the world has different experiences and thus different perspectives on things. Since the Stoics gathered, discussed, and taught philosophy in a public place, their general philosophy was widely known. They believed that Stoic principles could greatly benefit anyone and everyone. So it didn't make sense for them to hide that knowledge behind the four walls of a school or palace courtyards. As a result, everyone, from slave to emperor, could learn and become a Stoic. And they did. Some of the world's most notable Stoics include Epictetus, which translates to acquired, as he was once owned as a slave, Seneca, a well-renowned statesman, and Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the most powerful men to have ever lived. The early Stoics practiced what they preached, avoiding all forms of segregation and leading the fight against inequality. They even invented the word cosmopolitan, which literally means citizen of the world. When people hear that word now, we think of cities like New York, Toronto, Dubai, and London because of how diverse they are. This was the type of unity and togetherness the Stoics preached. At the time of Stoicism's foundation, women weren't allowed to pursue philosophy, but the Stoics disagreed with that completely. Musonius Rufus, Epictetus's teacher, once said, "It is not men alone who possess eagerness and a natural inclination toward virtue, but women also. Women are pleased no less than men by noble and just deeds, and reject the opposite of such actions. Since that is so, why is it appropriate for men to seek out and examine how they might live well, that is, to practice philosophy, but not women?" Even at a time when it wasn't popular, women were allowed to freely learn about Stoicism and become Stoics themselves. Why people adopt Stoicism as a way of life. So why do so many people adopt Stoicism as a way of life? In a world full of unexpected turns of events, our emotions tend to get in the way of things. In reality, we don't really get sad because bad things happen. We get sad because unexpected bad things happen. Rain is a good thing. It waters plants, provides water for livestock, and keeps the temperature cool. But the truth is, when that dark cloud catches you outside without an umbrella, it's never a good experience. So why don't we start crying once it starts to rain? It's because although the situation is bad, we've learned to expect rain. It's something we can't control. Although it sucks, the rain passes and the light returns. Stoicism teaches us that in the same way, we should expect that everything bad that can happen will happen. Picture the worst outcome and be content knowing it could happen. Voluntary discomfort. One of the Stoic exercises is known as voluntary discomfort, an exercise aimed at increasing gratitude. Sleep on the floor of your kitchen. Take cold showers instead of hot. Eat nothing but potatoes for a few days. This exercise helps you understand that no matter how hard it gets, you'll survive and potentially thrive if your mindset is right. By withstanding uncomfortable situations, we prepare our minds for future misfortunes. In a world where advertisements are constantly shoved down our throats, we're made to believe that if we don't have the next best thing, look a certain way, or make a certain amount of money, we will never be happy. This message is dangerous. We enter the world not knowing much. We grow up being taught things at home, in school, and by observing the world. A lot of times, these sources teach us different lessons. But do we need to internalize all of them? If we do, we may be setting unrealistic expectations for our lives, leaving us disappointed and unsatisfied in the end. That's no way to live. We should focus on improving ourselves, for ourselves. Attaching external hopes to our actions almost always leads to disappointment. Why external sources of happiness always fail. Most of the time, we try to fill our emptiness with external things, cars, houses, even families. But Stoicism teaches that if you approach life this way, you place your happiness in the hands of external forces, forces that can always fail. Cars break down, natural disasters destroy homes, divorce rates climb higher every year, even free things come at a cost. The cost of space, both physical and mental. As Seneca once wrote, learning to live with less will create space in your life for the things that truly matter to you. We must place our happiness on our intrinsic value as humans, not on what we have. We must keep a cool head, regardless of what life throws at us. Because although we don't control most things that happen to us, we do control how we react. The dichotomy of control. That is the dichotomy of control, the most important principle in Stoic philosophy. In the words of Epictetus, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Striving for goals is good, but breaking down when things don't go your way is, according to Stoics, pointless. Making YouTube videos is easier than being a Roman emperor, but it can still be hard. You form the idea, research it, scrap it, write it, record it, edit it, create the thumbnail, and hit upload. Everything up to upload is under your control. But once you click upload, the power shifts to the YouTube algorithm. Still, people judge the success of their channel by views and subscribers, metrics that are out of their control. Stoics say judge success based on effort, not outcomes. Trust the process. Living with less means unbinding yourself from the societal handcuffs you've put yourself in. A promotion story. Imagine someone works hard for 6 months. They go to their boss hoping for a promotion. The boss says thanks, but doesn't promote them. They go home thinking they're a failure. They don't consider that the boss may have had a bad day, or the company is losing money, or someone else was better qualified. If they placed their value on the quality of their work, not the outcome, they would be much happier. The goal isn't lost, it's just postponed. True Stoics don't measure success by financial gain, but by knowing they can live comfortably without the things money buys. The 4 virtues of Stoicism. There are 4 main virtues of Stoicism. Wisdom, the ability to separate internal from external and choose our reactions. Courage, 2 words, persist and resist. Temperance, doing more with less, saying more with fewer words. Justice, the most important, no harm to others. We were all born to help one another. Nelson Mandela and Stoicism. Nelson Mandela was one of the most famous African leaders. While fighting apartheid, he was sentenced to life in prison, where he stayed for 27 years. Upon release, he became South Africa's president. Many expected revenge, but he did not seek it. During prison, Mandela read Marcus Aurelius. He practiced Stoic values. Instead of revenge, he urged relaxation and rebuilding. He knew the past was out of his control. The future was all that mattered. Modern psychology and Stoicism. Today, Stoicism forms the foundation of many modern therapies, like REBT and logotherapy. REBT helps patients identify and challenge negative thoughts. Many are unfounded. When we replace them with logic, we heal. Logotherapy teaches that we are driven by purpose. Even in the darkest moments, we can find happiness by finding meaning. But that takes work. It takes rewiring our thoughts. Out with the old, in with the new. To fix our problems with happiness, we must practice self-worth. By focusing on what we can control, we stop obsessing over what we can't. Stoicism helps us navigate storms, past and present, into calmer waters. And if our ship sinks and we drown, we can still take peace in the fact that we lived a good life. Because remember, everything has an end. Subscribe to the Stoic Guy if this reached you deeply. If you're building not just success, but character, we're walking the long road here. Quiet, focused, disciplined, free. So stay stoic, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.